time, or at their files, ready to go and get started. It looks like Fladervy is actually getting started, so it seems like the race has gone underway. And starting off, they are in the prologue, which they're going to be doing a lot of small hops for. Each small hop stays around close to 2 frames. I'm pretty sure it is actually 2 frames, so they're going to be trying to hop as much as they possibly can. So getting into Chapter 1, which Fladervy is about to, we'll talk about some dashes. There are a bunch of different dashes. There's a normal dash, and as well as a normal jump. And if you chain those together, you can do a dash jump, which is super quick movement. Then we have stuff like hyper dashes, where you hold down and forward and do a dash and a jump at the same time. Oh, sad death there by rdwalshv on his screen in the prologue. So as Fladervy is going into Chapter 1, we can see that he's using a lot of hypers as well as these wall bounces, where he dash up towards a wall, and then you jump on the first few frames that you hit the wall. You actually gain a lot of height and speed from it. So we've seen that a lot. There's a nice reverse done by Fladervy as well. All dash jumps can be done in reverse, and it just makes it a little bit quicker than a normal jump, and gives you a little bit more horizontal movement as well. Very nice skip there as well, and Walsh not very far behind as well. Oh, unfortunate death there. He tried to go for that skip, and it didn't pay off that well, but he got it again afterwards, so all is fine.
It's not that costly a death.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And so, also, along with that, we also have wave dashing, which we have seen Flader already do quite a couple of amount of times. Nice skip there.
Also, some spike jumps here. They're jumping off of the corner of the wall, not the spike itself.
What you just saw Flader do right there, by the way, was something we like to call neutral jumping. If you're on a wall and you jump without holding a certain direction, he will Madeline will go not far away from the wall, and you can just climb a wall without conserving or using any of your stamina up. So he was able to climb that wall and get up there much quicker than he normally would with the casual strat. So now Flader is moving into Chapter 2, which is going to be showing off dream blocks coming up here. Now he's going for this skip, which he got. That's one of the main glitches in the run. One of the only glitches, actually, where he started the cutscene he skipped the cutscene, so that when the cutscene was over, his Y-axis would actually stay the same, and he would just spawn inside the dream block, which saves a couple seconds. So that was very well done by him, and very well executed as well. Walsh coming to the end here, Chapter 1 as well, and Sylverfyst is already in Chapter 2. So all runners are doing fairly good. As you can see, we are getting the introduction here to the battle line in Chapter 2, and this only happens in Chapter 2, where battle line moves 3 seconds behind your movement and follows your movement patterns, even though they're playing very fast because they're speedrunning, obviously. And if you hit her, you die, and you have to restart that room that you were in. So far, Flader is doing a very good job. Only 1 or 2 deaths so far. I hope I didn't commentate or curse him, but he is moving very well throughout Chapter 2, and there's absolutely no way for him to die now, so I can speak without worrying about commentator cursing him. Oh, unfortunate death there by Walsh, and then another one. That room can be a little bit tricky if you're going for that skip, and he got it. There we go. And another unfortunate death there by Sylverfyst. Dying in any of the battle line segments can be very costly, so that was very unfortunate for him. So we are now in the awake segment here for Flader, as the others continue along. And he just finished off Chapter 2 with some Very nice language choice. I didn't even notice he wasn't playing in English. Oh. Going down to turn on his timer, thankfully. Thank you, Flader, for noticing that. Alright, so the others are just going out throughout Chapter 2. Dave just finished Chapter 2, so he's also hot on Flader's tail right now. Yes, so now we are in Chapter 3, which is the resorts for Flader as well as for Dave. And Chapter 3 is known for most of the casual players of this game to being one of the more difficult ones, where they tend to die, and the difficulty seems to ramp up quite a bit from Chapters 1 and 2 here.
It's also a much longer chapter, about twice as long as the first two combined.
Yeah, and you will be seeing why that is. These little dust bunnies, or as like most of us like to call them, dust boys, they some of them have cycles and some of them don't. The ones that have cycles, though, actually have different cycles, determining whether or not you enter the room or if you die in the room. So most runners need to learn both of the cycles for if you die and if you just enter the room, just in case you have an unfortunate death. Very nice skip there by Flader with that dash jump. Sylverfyst just got out of Chapter 2, so he is moving along. Walsh is also almost done with Chapter 2, just doing the last battle line section here, and then he will be out and moving into the resort as well. So all runners are having a fairly good run for their skill level, which is nice to see. So Flader just got past the huge mess section, which is very cramped, so getting a lot of good movement there is a little bit difficult, but he seemed to do pretty well throughout it. So he is now going to be getting one of the 3 buttons that he needs to get in order to move past the mess section. Each button cleans up a part of the mess, and the order we do these buttons in, it actually doesn't really matter at all. It only matters because we get these in the order that Oshiro, the ghost guy who is running this resorts, he spawns in different locations to talk to after, so we just routed this so that we can be closer to him when we come out of the button areas.
Each button also affects all 3 of these areas, but the time difference for Oshiro is much bigger than any of the time differences that would result in from changing the layouts of these areas.
Yeah, and we saw Flader do this, but I didn't actually mention it. He did a spike jump. Basically, if you're moving away from a vertical wall of spikes and you jump while jumping away from them, you can sometimes get a wall boost off them, and that can help you skip a good section, which made him skip one of the rooms and saved a couple seconds. I also saw that Walsh entered Chapter 3, so it's good to see that he's out of Chapter 2 now. His Chapter 2 went a little bit rough, a few unfortunate mistakes, but he's still doing very good for his skill level. So Flader now has all the keys, and now he's moving on to probably the part where I think, me personally, I think that Chapter 3 actually starts ramping up in difficulty is after the elevator section here. And Dave, not that far behind him actually, just now talking to Oshiro and going to the elevator, so both runners are doing fairly good. Yeah, there were some very good wall bounces there. Oh, unfortunate death there.
That strat can be very difficult.
And right there you saw that he actually did an intentional death, so he can spawn at the beginning of that room with the key. The key does not, you do not lose the key if you die, so we just, it's faster just to kill yourself in that room after you get the key. And those hypers on those platforms are a little costly, so I can see why he died. That's a very difficult strat to go for, especially in a race. Here we see that Dave just did it perfectly. Congrats to him. That was very well done on that room. He's hot on Flader's tails right now. Or tails? Just tail. Never mind. We see Walsh here just going into the mess session right now, not too far behind the others. He's only a little bit behind Sylverfyst right now, who is just now getting his second button. And I forgot to mention Oshiro. Both the two runners on the left are at the Oshiro fight part right now, where Oshiro will be chasing them, and if he hits them, like most things in this game, they will die from it. And as you see, Oshiro lets out a nice little lightning bolt from where he's going to dash, which shows them where he's going to go, so they can kind of dodge him. But if you die from Oshiro in this section at all in any of these rooms, it can be very costly. So very well done from Flader, and first few rooms have been done well from Dave as well.
That was a very clean resort too. Only 2 unintentional deaths.
Yeah, that was very, very well done, especially for a tournament setting. That was very well done. Oh, that's a very bad death from Dave. That is the last Oshiro room, so that's very costly, but luckily he got back up there pretty quickly. So Flader is now moving into Chapter 4, which is Golden Ridge. Again, this one isn't as long as Chapter 3, but it is said to be one of the harder chapters, especially in a speedrun, because there's a lot of skips that you will see the runners going for. Oh, unfortunate death there by Flader. Dave just finished Chapter 3, so he's hot on his tail right now. And the other two players are going through Chapter 3 still. But one of the main reasons a lot of casuals seem to really despise... Oh, here's another spike jump by Flader. Very well done there. Very well executed. One of the reasons that a lot of people hate Chapter 4 is because of the wind. And a lot of people really despise the wind, but it honestly isn't that bad, and we use it to our advantage in the speedrun. Nice skip there, that auto-scroll skip by Flader. That is a little difficult to go for when you're just learning the game, but it seems that he's mastered it, so that wasn't much of a problem for him. And we can see that Sylverfyst and Walsh are continuing very smoothly right now. Just a small unintentional death there by Sylverfyst. But Walsh and Sylverfyst are currently still going through Chapter 3, and it seems not to be going too horribly for them, so that's good to see. And let's see if Dave gets this spike jump, having a little bit of trouble with it. There he goes, nice. So yeah, a lot of really tough tricks. Oh, nice save there by Flader. That was a little scary there for him.
Sylverfyst gets those hypers first try.
That was yeah, I didn't even see that. So when there's 4 screens going on in a race like this, it's hard to like keep watch over all of them. Very nice auto-scroll skip done by Dave as well. Both got a first try. That's very well done by both of them. Alright, so now Sylverfyst is moving on to the Oshiro section here. The Oshiro fights seems to have a pretty okay Chapter 3. Just a few unintentional deaths, but overall still very good. And while Flader is continuing on through... Oh, yeah, there's the snowballs. The snowballs in Chapter 4 control a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and I've seen it troll a lot of people in this tournament already. Very unfortunate death there, and unfortunately there wasn't much he could do about it. But yeah, Chapter 4 overall is a very difficult chapter by a casual standpoint as well as a speedrun standpoint. A lot of hard tricks you have to go for. And Flader just demolished Chapter 4. That was a very good one, even with the unintentional deaths he had. Very well executed. And Dave is also hot on his heels right now, just getting into the final section here. The final few screens of Chapter 4. Sylverfyst having an unfortunate death there, but he is about to get to the last screen of Oshiro fight here. Unfortunate death there by Walsh as well. I've said unfortunate way too many times, but they are unfortunate deaths, sadly. So this is Chapter 5. In Chapter 4 there were a few new mechanics, such as the directional blocks, as well as the snowballs. Oh, very small time loss there by Dave. Just a bad jump. Oh, nice save there as well. And it looks like Sylverfyst is out of Chapter 3. So that is good for him. He is moving on to Golden Ridge. And now Flader is in Chapter 5. So we saw that there were these dash bubbles in Chapter 4 that replenish your dash. There are these red bubbles in Chapter 5 that kind of do the same thing in a way, but they just go for a longer period of time and go straight in the direction that you go. Oh, unfortunate death. He's going for double bubble skip, where he skips both of these bubbles. Having a little bit of trouble with this because you need a corner boost. Oh, he's just opting for the other alternative. It's a little bit slower, but he already failed it like 3 times, so I see why he went for it. The safety strat. And now Dave is moving on into... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That is probably the hardest skip in 90%.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he went for it. It's also not very consistent either. It's one of the more inconsistent strats in this game, and to go for it in a tournament setting like this is very surprising, for me at least. Walsh having a very hard, troubling time here in this room here with the hypers. Almost having it there. Also, we forgot to mention, but both of these dash bubbles that are in Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, they both activate faster if you dash once you get inside them. So it's just like a quick time save, but you'll see Flader as well as Dave activating them right away, just by random it seems, but they're actually dashing to make them activate faster. And Flader here is moving into probably the creepier section of Chapter 5. We're coming up here, we will be seeing the Seekers, which are these monster things in Chapter 5, and they will attack you, and there are some lock switches that we need to get, so for the most part he is going to try to lure them to hitting some lock switches so that he doesn't have to hit them himself, which is just another small time save so we can get to the door faster. Dave catching up here in Chapter 5, catching up from Flader's attempts at double bubble skip. And it looks like Walsh is almost at the end of Chapter 3. Unfortunate death there. And it doesn't seem... Oh, and it looks as if Sylverfyst messed up the auto-scroller, and he's not going to go for the skip, because it is a little risky. Oh, he is going for it. Never mind, he got it. Very impressive. Alright, so coming up on Flader's screen, we're going to be seeing Search Skip. This skips a couple minutes in the run, so it's one of the most major skip. He went for Corner Boost there, which is a very underrated version of doing it, but he just decided to go for the reverse, which most people use, so he got it second try. He went for the more time-savvy routes there for getting it, but it didn't pay off, so he just went for the normal one. And now moving into the Theo section coming up soon, which most people will say is their least favorite part of Chapter 5, but it has some cool movements if he is able to show it off, which he's getting into right now.
I mean, that's my favorite part.
Personally, I'm with the people. I think it's the time it's the place where I lose the most amount of time in, just because there's a lot of what seems like randomness, but it's not random with these Seekers. But so far he's doing very well throughout it. He's going to bounce off this Seeker to actually hit that key with Theo. Theo can actually hit the lock switches himself, and hit buttons himself too, so it's going to be very cool to see him. We're coming up for Search Skip here on Dave's screen. Let's see if he gets it first try. Very well done. Again, saved a little bit of time over Flader because he didn't go for the corner boost strat that Flader went for, which only saved a little bit of time if he got it, so definitely made up some time on that. And we see that Silver is just getting near to the end of Chapter 4, and it looks like Walsh just finished up Chapter 3, so that is good to see that he's moving into Golden Ridge now. Alright, coming up to the final section here for Flader. This is the last video section, and he's going to be going for a nice little dash boost up here, and then that's a nice little skip that I like to see a lot of people go for. It's very cool. Alright, and he will be done with Chapter 5. He just needs to throw this into the Eyeball of Doom, and there we go. He's done with Chapter 5. Moving into Reflection. And Walsh is just had a little trouble there skipping that cutscene. As long as he didn't retry by mistake, that's all that matters. Retrying right before a cutscene is not the best feeling. Silver taking it a little safe here with these snowballs, which is definitely understandable in a race setting. And it seems like Dave's having a little bit of a struggle here with this one Seeker. This one, I say, is one of my personal least favorites, and it seems like a lot of people have that idea there. Nice leg skip done by Flader. First try there. That was very well executed. Leg skip is very hard to do, and to go for it in a tournament like that, just out of nowhere, is really well done. Alright, and it looks like Silver... Oh, wow, cheating death there for a second. Actually got a corner boost there at the very last screen. Very well done there, and he's moving on to Mirror Temple as well, catching up to the others. So, thankfully we have the wonderful audio that is... Oh, here's some neutral jumping here by Flader, but we have the wonderful audio of Flader because we get to hear the nice Kevin blocks. Shoutouts to Kevin, who made this sound himself with his own mouth. Oh, looks like Walsh was having a little bit of trouble there with that wind. That upwind can eat your inputs a little bit, so it seems like it was giving him a little bit of a hard time. And Dave just finished up Chapter 5. Very well done. Only a few mishaps happened in there, so still very well done for him. Alright, so these bouncers that Flader is encountering right now, you actually gain a lot more speed from them if you hit the bouncer and you hold away from the direction that you hit him from. You'll actually fly much farther than you normally would, so he will be using that eventually. If he goes for the lower path, at least, we will see that, so he can skip one of the bouncers. Dave opting not to go for leg skip, which is understandable. Again, it's a very inconsistent strat. You only have about 3 pixels to actually get leg skip, so I'm still very impressed that Flader got it first try like that. Oh, an unfortunate death there with the Kevin block. Walsh going out throughout Chapter 4 with some pretty minor deaths, but still making this time to catch up to the others. Alright, so here comes Flader going into the dev intended skips here. These are ones that the devs personally let in just because they knew people would speedrun this game, and he got those perfectly, so that was good for him. Oh, and sadly a death there by Silver. Couldn't activate that block without dying there.
Because you're bypassing checkpoints.
Yeah, that's that is a good thing to point out. When he was falling through the purple spikes there, it's a good thing to mention that he was skipping all the checkpoints in that section, so if he died, he would go to the very beginning of that room again, which is a big time loss. Alright, so Silver is just moving into the intro for the Seekers right now, where you actually get to play as a Seeker for a little bit. We've got to mention that when the others got to it. And it looks like Walsh is just about halfway through Chapter 4 of Golden Ridge. And we have Flader here moving into the battle line fight, where she decides to stop following you, but instead, she decides to just stay back, hang out, and, you know, just get hit a bunch. And that's basically the fight. And this fight is very movement intensive to save time on, so taking a death here in some of these longer rooms can be very unforgiving, so we will see what happens for him. And Dave, not too far behind him, actually. Just, oh, tried to go for a skip there. Didn't really work out. He saved himself, though. Just going to the part right before the battle line fight, so he is catching up to Fladervy. Alright, Silver in the Seeker phase right now of Chapter 5, while Walsh is just finishing up, or going to the last parts of Chapter 4. And it looks like Flader is on the second phase of the boss here, where she starts moving blocks with her mind, and starts making it a little bit more intense in the fight. So he is getting to the very end of Chapter 6 fairly soon. And I forgot to mention this, but it looks like it's a good time to mention it now because Dave is going for it. He's going to be going for Battle Line Boost, where you can just get a lot of momentum off this Kevin block by doing bunny hops after your hyper. And, oh, sadly got blocked by the wall, but we saw that Flader got it earlier, so you got to see what it looks like. We'll see if the other runners go for it as well. Alright, so Flader is on the very last room right now of the battle line fight here. Almost hit the spike, just was very too close for comfort there. But he got through it, and now he is going to get his level up and getting his second boost now for the summit, and he's going to be moving on to Chapter 7. Meanwhile, Dave is still hanging out here with Battle Line, having a nice, jolly, good old time in Phase 1 here. And it seems like Walsh is just about to get to the end of, or the last screen of Chapter 4, right here, which had a few unintentional deaths, but overall, still not too bad. Not too bad at all for his skill level. He's doing very well. And there we go. He is moving on into Mirror Temple. Had a little trouble there, Sylverfyst, with the surge skip, but he got it eventually just there, and so that was good to see he got it without too much trouble. And now Flader is into Chapter 7, also known as the Summit, which basically takes all of the first 6 chapters and kind of mixes them all together in one batch. So we'll be seeing elements from every chapter in here, except a few from Chapter 6 don't get reused, like the bumpers, that much. Oh, Walsh going for the skip, the swag strat. We'll see if he gets it. Oh, he got it second try. Not bad. Not bad indeed. I don't even go for that, so that impressed me. Oh, I forgot to mention that Sylverfyst is now on the Theo section here, just on the second screen now. It looks like Dave is having a little bit of a struggle there on that screen of the battle line fight, but he got through it. Meanwhile, Flader is just zooming along in the 500 section right now, which is based after Chapter 1. And let's see if he gets the skip, which can, yeah, that can sometimes be a little bit of a rough jump, and it seemed to troll him a little bit. So that was a little unfortunate. Alright, so now Dave is coming up to the second phase of Battle Line fights. Oh, actually, sorry, the last room. I'm way off of my talking there. He's at the very last room of the Battle Line fight. He'll be moving into Chapter 7 fairly soon. Just has to get the final blow on her. And there he goes. Now he's going to go get Chapter 6 wrapped up, and he's going to move on to Chapter 7 and go after Flader.
We're seeing some hypers out of Dream Blocks on Flader's screen here. It's a very precise strat. It's how many frames is it exactly?
I'm pretty sure it's only like 1 or 2 frames actually. Very well done execution wise. He's doing a lot of them. That's insane. Alright, very good Chapter 6 from Dave. Unfortunate death there. Oh, and another one by Flader. Just the Dream Blocks did not want to work with him there, so that was very sad to see.
that's the other risk to Dream Block Hydras. Failing one will have you diagonally dash out of the Dream Block.
Yeah, and there Silver just got out of
only like, I think it was 15 unintentional deaths. It was a little sad to see some of those deaths. Some of them cost quite a bit of time, but now he's moving into Reflection. And now we move on to 1500 for Flader right here, which most people would say is probably, I've heard a lot of people say that it's one of their least favorite sections of Chapter 7. It is very difficult with a couple skips that they're going to be going for. One of them is going to look insane. If you've never seen a Celeste speedrun before, this is going to be crazy.
Sorry, my mic got unplugged there for a second. Oh, this room right here that Flader is on, that is insane. Very well executed. Alright, so Silver is just on the first Kevin block here. Manages to get that skip fairly easily. And we see that Dave actually used a hyper there. I've never seen anybody do that. Very interesting choice of movement. That I very well respect him for that. That was very cool. So now Flader did a skip in, well, not a skip, just an optional route. And he's also going to do one here. As you see, he just dashed, he did a wall bounce up there, getting an optional strawberry. But he did one in the Chapter 3 segment, the 1500 as well, where he went to an optional place where you normally get a strawberry, but instead he just used it as a quicker path to get out of that section of 1500 faster than the other route would have been. So just small optimizations. And let's see.
That's faster than the standard route.
Yeah, and it's a good thing too because the normal route or the casual route for that for 1500 has a little bit of a random element to it. There's a dust bunny that seems to always be different, and that just skips seeing him no matter what. So that's good. Oh, almost a death there from Dave, but he saved it, which is very nice to see. And now he's moving on to 1500, chasing after Flader, who is just now leaving 2000, and will be moving on to 2500. And we already saw that Walsh got search skip, so he did very well on that. Oh, but sadly got killed by a seeker there. That one can be a little bit of a troll sometimes, just where his placement is. So, and it always seems to be different for the most part, because you never know how he's going to act at that point. Alright, we have door skip coming up fairly soon for Flader. I know for a fact he's going to go for it. And we'll see if he gets the first try. But first we have key skip. Will he get it? Very well done there. So with that, you can do 2 spike jumps in a row there in order to skip having to go down for the bubble first. So that was very well executed by Flader. We also saw that Dave got that optional route down pretty well done as well. And coming up here, we got door skip. Let's see if Flader gets it. He's going for it. And first try, there we go. Very nicely done. And he will be moving on to the 3000 segment, the last segment of Chapter 7. It may be the last segment, but it is a longer segment, so we will see how he does on the checkpoints. Meanwhile, Walsh is just about doing very well in Chapter 5, actually. Not very many deaths, unintentional. And he's just in the Theo segment, going to get this button here. Meanwhile, Silver is doing the dev skips here. Also, we saw that Flader had an intentional death there at the very near the end of the battle line section for 2500. That's very unfortunate. But he's out of there now. And dang, Sylverfyst getting another death there at the same place, but he did get the safety checkpoint because I guess he didn't have a good feeling about it. So it's a good thing he did that. It saved him quite a a good amount of time from those 2 deaths because he didn't have to spawn at the top. Oh, he's going for a spike jump. Very well done by Flader. That spike jump, I have not seen many people go for it, so seeing him go for that in a tournament setting is also extremely well done. Unfortunate death there. And then another one. These spikes do not like to be very nice with the spike jumps. And he decides just to go for the normal safety backup there. It is actually very surprising to see some runners go for leg skip and stuff like that when it's not always super consistent. But I guess when you're top runners of this game, you just go for everything because you practice it so much. Walsh here is in the one of the last rooms of the Theo sections. That's a very sad death right there. Probably wasted a little bit of time, but hopefully he will recover from that. And as we see, Sylverfyst is now in the battle line fight on the second screen right now, or third, it's like right now, and he's doing fairly good so far. And Dave is going to be coming up to the door skip room. We'll see if he goes for it or not. Meanwhile, Flader, sorry, can't speak, is now on one of the checkpoints that can lose the most amount of time. He died at the very end, and he very much cut it close there. He got a little friendly there with the spikes, but it worked out for him, so probably won't be complaining about it. Alright, very sad death there by Flader. That jump was not his friend there. And it looks like Walsh is just now leaving Mirror Temple, so he will be joining Sylverfyst in Reflection. Alright, Flader moving on to the last 5 checkpoints. Decides to skip checkpoint 5, but it worked out for him because he got checkpoint 4. And meanwhile, Dave not too far behind him, just on checkpoint 29, starting off the 3000 segment. It will be a fairly close match between these two. And Walsh going for the safety strat, not going for leg skip. Again, a very difficult skip, so I do not doubt them for not going for it. And meanwhile, Sylverfyst is moving on to the second phase here of the battle line fight, and Flavor is just moving on, or is just finishing now with the time of 34:10, a very good time for a tournament setting. That is a very well done. Sorry, 34:11. It's still very well done by Flader. Congratulations to his victory. Alright, so we see that Dave here is just leaving his downward wind segment here of summits, so he's now moving into the upward wind. Had a little bit of trouble there with that cloud, but he's still moving along. Decides to skip that flag. Still worked out for him in the long run, though. Meanwhile, we just get to hear some lovely Kevin Blocks noises from Walsh here, who is just in the beginning portion here of Chapter 6 of Reflection, making his way to Battle Line, as well as making his way to Granny. And Silver here, he's moving into the last room of the Battle Line fights. So pretty soon he will be moving on to his summit. And, oh, sad death there. Didn't lose too much time, but losing time in this room at all is fairly bad. This room is very costly of time, especially since it's at the very end of the boss fight. And we see that Dave is just at the very end of the checkpoints. He's on the last 9 right now, so he should be coming up to the end of his run fairly soon.
Alright, Silver just coming to the end here of his of reflection. He will be moving on to Summit, and we will see how that goes for him now. Dave deciding to skip that checkpoint 5 just like Flader did, and it also worked out for him. Didn't have to worry about that.
Alright, Dave is coming to the end of his run here. He is only 2 checkpoints away. And I'm pretty sure this is almost going to be a PB for him. I'm pretty sure he has a 37 something, so this will be very close for him. And he's almost done here. He's just climbing up at the last checkpoint here. Having a little bit of trouble with that corner. And at least this will be a sub 38 for him. And there we go. With a time of 37:39 for Davesterio. That's also a very good time. Only about 3 minutes or 3 or 4 minutes behind of Flader. So very well done by both of those 2 runners. And now we just have Walsh as well as Sylverfyst, who remain. And, sorry for my mistake, it was a 37:40 by Davesterio. So Walsh is just doing the last sections before Granny here right now. He will be getting to the part right before the battle line fight. And meanwhile, Sylverfyst is in the 500 meter section of Chapter 7, so he's not doing too bad as well. Now, if I am correct, I'm pretty sure that Sylverfyst's time is around the 50-minute mark, so if he has a good summit, this could possibly be a good pace for him, but I won't say anything because I know how commentators can curse things sometimes, so I'm gonna try to stay away from that topic. Unfortunate death there by Walsh. He went for the skip, and like we said earlier, there's no checkpoint if you don't go out of your way for it, so that was an unfortunate death, but he is going to go for the checkpoint here, so he can safely go for this one. Even if he misses it, he has that checkpoint to fall back on, and he gets it the second try. So he didn't waste as much time as Silver did, so he's making up a little bit of time for himself, which is good. And we didn't mention this earlier, but this water section is thankfully very short. The devs knew that they didn't want a lot of water in this game, a lot of water sections, because this chapter was supposed to be apparently an entire water chapter, so thankfully they lowered it just to that little bit there instead, and going for that big jump there.
About 15 water rooms that they cut.
15? Really? I did not know that. That's insane. And I'm happy they did cut it. Alright, so Walsh is now into the battle line fight. Almost got crushed by a block there, but saved it. He is now going to, like we said earlier, this battle line fight is very movement intensive, so it all depends on how well your movement is, on how well this fight will go. Meanwhile, Silver is moving on into chapter, or did I say chapter 3? The 1500 segment here. Oh, almost had a death there, but did okay. Saved it. That death was a little bit costly there from Walsh. Died near the very end of that room. And that is one of the longer ones for the battle line fight, so that is very sad. Almost had another death there again, but saved it. We saw Silver wait a bit there to get those cycles down. That's a strat that a couple of the runners will tend to go for, just so they make sure they get the cycles right. They'll wait for like a quick second there or two. Just waiting for the right timing there with those dust bunnies. You can never be sure what's going to happen. Going for this huge momentum. There we go. He got it. It looked a little sketchy, but he still got it, which was good, considering that his setup was not the greatest for it. So, considering he still got it. Very well done for him. Now, moving on. Walsh still in the battle line fight. Just about to get to Phase 2 fairly soon. On the last part of Phase 1 right here. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Not the last one. Just a few more of Phase 1 here, though, and he will be moving on to Phase 2 of Battle Lines fight. Meanwhile, Silver is moving on throughout 1500. Did very well in 1500 as well. Alright, so now Silver is into the 2000 part. Oh, taking a nice safety strat here so we didn't have to do the wall bounce. That is one that most runners will tend to go for because the wall bounce is a little strict with its timing on the screen transition. So, oh, unfortunate death there by Walsh as well. Again, in one of the longer, well, one of the shorter rooms, but still, nonetheless, dying on a battle line in the battle line fight tends to be quite a time loss no matter what. And now he is moving into the last room before Phase 1 ends for him. So he will be moving on into the block moving phase here of the battle line fight. And now he is into the second phase here. These blocks are going crazy for him. He still managed to get through that room without a death, which is very good. That room can be somewhat of a troll at some points. Alright, we see Silver here into the auto-scroller parts of 2000. There is an auto-scroller skip that we saw that Flader and Dave went for. Let's see if he goes for it though as well. Unfortunately, he had a death there. The space was a little bit too tight for him. Decides to go safety here, doesn't go for it. That is completely understandable. The skip only saves a couple seconds, and if it goes wrong, it can go wrong very quickly for runners if they tend to go for it. And we see Walsh coming close to the end of this battle line fight on the second last screen right now of the battle line fight, but this is the longest part of it, so let's see if he gets through this flawlessly. Almost had a death there. Got very friendly with those spikes, but he's good. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I pretty much jinxed him on that one. Oh, and... Oh, no, almost... Is it a save? Oh? Oh my god!
That was quite a save.
Oh, and it didn't work out anyways. Well, Silver, just so you know, I'm very proud of you for that save. Because that was insane. Alright, so now into the final room of the battle line fight. Oh, tough death there.
My mic keeps getting unplugged, so I'm sorry about that. But like I was saying before, tough death at the very end of the final room of the battle line fight. But Walsh is done with it now and is going to be moving in to Summit. Having a little bit of trouble there with his hypers, but he is now going to get the double boost power up. And yeah, he's just moving out of there now. Alright, so now Silver is moving into the 2,500 meter section here. Last part before the 3,000 meter, before the final climb. Now the real question is, will he go for door skip? We shall wait and find out. Oh, doing a nice little skip there, saving a little bit of seconds. Doing a nice wave dash on that platform there, very well done. And now Walsh is joining him in summits. We'll see how his summit goes. Just starting off the first segment here. And it looks like Silver now is going for key skip. Let's see if he gets it. Had a little bit of trouble there. Let's see if he gets it now. Now, second try, not bad at all by any means. Still going for that is very good. Alright, so Silver is just in the room right before door skip, so we will see if he decides to go for it or not. Or sorry, this is the room right before door skip. I don't know what I was saying. Nice skip there from him. Alright, so this is door skip room. Decides to go safety route. Fine by all means. Door skip is quite a dangerous thing to go for, especially in a tournament run when it only saves a second, so completely understand that you can go for it. And it looks like Walsh just moving on into 500 meter. Very close behind Silver, just a few sections behind. But he's still doing very well. And if the rest of the summit goes well, I'm not trying to jinx anyone yet again. I have to mention this, but this could be very well be on a good pace for him. And we see Silver just about to reach the final part here of 2500. And now he's moving into the final climb, so he will be done fairly soon. Unfortunate death there from Walsh. Tried to do a nice wall bounce, but didn't quite get it. Also didn't get it there, didn't grab on. Flader deciding to restart a run and going for another one. Pretty interesting tactic. I guess he wants to see how far he can get while the others are still running. All right, so Flader is just starting another run. Let's see if let's see if he PBs this. Oh, that's a very sad death there from Silver. Just got hit by the very edge of that spike. Decides to skip that flag. Let's see if it gets paid off for him in the long run, and it seems like it does. Very well done by him. And now Walsh is moving on into the 1,000 meter. Having a little bit of trouble there, but he's okay. He's got it. Alright, so we see Silver continuing on in 3,000 meter. Again, doing very good on pace to beat his current PB of 57. So if all goes well for the rest, we could very well see a PB possibility for him, which will be nice to see. And it seems like everybody in this, everybody and their mother in this tournament is PBing in races. So it's always good to see that in a tournament like this. So far, very well done on 1,000 meter by Walsh, and I mean, Flader just doing his own thing in Chapter 1 again, but he's still doing a good job, I guess. I don't know if I'm supposed to commentate for him, but hey, he's still running, so... Alright, so Walsh not really having that much trouble in Chapter 7 so far, which is good to see. He's in 1,500. Meanwhile, Silver is moving on to checkpoint number 10 very soon here. Right there he is. Now he's on flag number 10. And he's getting close to the end. Oh, misses that wall grab there, and there we go. Now he's got it. Some sad retries there that Walsh was forced to do. This room can be very difficult with the cycles that they give you, so there we go. He's out of it now. Alright, and we see Silver moving on up to the 5th checkpoint, the last 5. So he is coming up to his time, and this is going to be a very good PB for him by a couple minutes, actually. So as long as all goes well in the last few parts of this, then he should be on track for a nice improvement.
Also, Walsh deciding not to go for the momentum jumps that the others have gone for.
Mike hates me today. What I was saying was Walsh deciding not to go for that momentum jump that the others went for, but it is a little risky, so again, understandable that he wouldn't go for that in a tournament setting. And it seems like Silver's just about to end off soon. He's just getting to checkpoint 1 here. And now he's on checkpoint 1. He's just going to climb to the very top, and he's almost done. And this will be his time for him. Doing very well. Ahead of PB pace. Congratulations to him. And let's see what his time is. And there we go. Looks like a 52.50. Very well done by Sylverfyst. Congratulations to him. And now it's all up to Walsh to finish his run off. It looks like he's on a very good pace as well. So maybe we'll see 2 PBs in this one. Going for the other route that the others went for as well. Has to regain his dash. We forgot to mention this because we didn't really have to until these 2 runners did what they did. But if you dash, or sorry, if you jump, it happened in chapter 3 too, but again, we just didn't mention it. If you, when you transition to a different screen, you actually regain your dash. So if they decide to go for it, they can actually regain both of their dashes there, which makes that skip a little bit easier to get to that section. Walsh moving steadily throughout the 2000 segment right now, as well as Flader continuing throughout chapter 2. Alright, on the auto-scroller part for Walsh right now. Getting very close contact with the spikes, and unfortunately it didn't really pay off that well for him. He just got a death right at the very end, which is very unfortunate, but still, even with that, taking it very close to the spikes, getting very friendly with them, but he got past it now. Having some unfortunate deaths there, going for some very risky reverses. Oh man, that was also a very difficult one to go for. This room is not being very favorable to him, but hopefully he gets through it. It looks like he did just now, so very well done there.
Hey guys. Ooh. Looks like the... Alright. Sorry.
Is Widow alive?
Oh, that's why you couldn't hear me. I forgot I'm on push to talk. I was like talking and I was like, oh wait, I didn't hit the button. That's right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. That's my fault. But nice run, man. Was that? I'm pretty sure that was a PB, right?
No, I was off by like
oh wait, I didn't
about a
get the
minute, maybe about 45 seconds.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess I read your PB wrong when I was before this race. But I was still very close to PB.
Yeah, I had a lot of nerves at the start of the race. That definitely went a bit too, made a lot of mistakes early on. I feel like I probably could have had a solid maybe, I don't know, 48 if I had made a few less mistakes. I had a crazy, for me anyway, chapter 6. That's about as fast as I've ever done chapter 6.
Nice. Yeah, the nerves really do get to you, especially when you're on pace to PB during a tournament. Nonetheless, so still a very good run by you, and we're just now seeing Walsh deciding not to go for door skip again. It is a little bit of a push, especially in a tournament. But yeah, your run seemed to go really well. I did notice that your reflection did seem really well executed.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues early on with Temple. Especially that first skip over the tunnel of spikes there.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you decided to go for it. That's a pretty swag strat.
It's honestly, it's the only way I know how to do it. So it was either get it or don't get it.
You didn't go for... Oh, so yeah, have you ever gone for the bubble before?
Pretty much no.
Oh, wow. That's actually interesting to learn. Oh, and by the way, Walsh on a very good PB pace. I'm pretty sure his PB is like a 1 hour and 18 times. So he's at 58 minutes right now. So he's doing very well. Unless I read his PB wrong too. Apparently I read everybody's PB wrong, but you know.
Hey man, it's commentator's curse, right? So.
I said that too. I was like, I hope I don't commentator's curse anybody. All right. Well, he is moving on.
To get under an hour during a race. You know, that was the goal for tonight. So.
Yeah, especially with the nerves and everything like that. I remember in my race, it was my first race last night, and I had huge nerves. I ended up dying like a lot in chapters 1, 2, and 3, and I didn't want to, but it just happened. Especially in a no reset setting, you just have to deal with stuff like that. So overall, I'm pretty sure all the runners did very good in their respective skill levels today in this race, and it was very, very interesting to see all these different skill level players come together.
Yeah, I was really, I've been talking to a couple of the people in our group, and I was excited because I know Davesterio and the Oddbot, who I'm racing Sunday, are both amazing runners. So kind of the nerves as far as winning was never an issue for today. It was just executing.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do in a tournament setting like this, because like some people are going to go up against there's already been a match with TGH and someone who was way below him, but he still played his best, and that's all you can really hope for in a tournament setting.
Exactly.
And speaking of playing his best, we're seeing Walsh almost at the end here. He's getting to the last few amount of checkpoints, just on number oh, never mind. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm so sorry. But just on the last into the updraft section here. Also, I'm pretty sure I heard Davesterio join, if he's in here.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Hey, good run, by the way, man.
Hey, really appreciate it, guys. It's like, I had the nerves going throughout the race, but somehow PB'd by a second, so can only complain.
Oh, you PB'd? I didn't even comment on that. I didn't
we
know.
1 second PB, so.
Hey, dude, we take those, especially in a tournament.
Yeah.
I was actually talking how everybody and their mother seems to be PBing in this tournament, and here you are, 1 second PB.
Literally just about everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked that I thought I was way behind PB pace going into Summit. Turned out I was a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah, man, you get that sub hour, like
Yeah.
you were saying. You wanted to really get that sub hour, and you got it, so that's awesome.
Walsh
Yeah,
is the,
you guys both had really good runs.
Yeah, it's like, overall, felt pretty good. I got tripped up in some of the Theo sections, and then Flag 1 is literally, like, the hardest screen in the game. Just about.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I didn't want to comment on it. I didn't want to make anybody mad by mentioning that you died there.
You know, you just kind of trip to the finish line sometimes, you know? It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, same thing happened in my match. I won't be ashamed to admit it. I died on the first jump of Flag 1, so.
Oh my god.
I gotta say, like, on my stream, I'm almost always have at least 1 or 2 runs where I die repeatedly on Flag 2. Just
That happens sometimes.
like sometimes you go for the wall bounce and you just hit your head, like every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'm surprised to see in chat, Dave, that you actually mentioned the facts of what happened at door skip. Again, I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to like make anyone feel bad. So I was just like, I'll stay away from that.
So yeah, it's like, you know, I went for door skip. I kind of messed it up on the second door, and then I was like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna hit the buttons. Just do it. And then I get to the second door again, and I forget that I'm actually hitting the buttons. So I'm like, oh crap, I have to go for the skip, and I totally wasn't ready for it. And yeah, the stars aligned at that moment. So I mean, it was cool.
But hey, you went for it in a tournament setting, which just surprised me. Which only saves a second.
You know, you gotta take all you can get, and sometimes you PB by a second.
Right.
Like right now.
So,
You didn't even need door skip for this one.
And it's a swag strut.
I mean, my run's
Yeah.
valid because I didn't go for it, right? So that's how it works, right?
Hey, we don't actually mean that, everyone. Your run is valid no matter what. And look at Walsh here, gonna get a PB by close to 15 minutes.
hey.
That is a huge improvement. Almost sub 1, just off by a few minutes with a sub 104 though. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. It died on Flag 1.
Dude, I told you, Flag 1, it's the hardest screen in the game.
I shouldn't have said anything, dude. Come here's Kurt. Spam those emotes, please, by the way, if you have them. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Just let him finish his run. It can still 104, sub 104, and there you go, 103.37. Very well done by all runners today. Good job to everybody.
That's super impressive that he PB'd by that much in a tournament setting.
That is
Yeah,
very
congrats,
good.
man.
Also, can I just say that placement for Flader looks very well with that strawberry in the corner. Perfect. All right, let's see if we can get Walsh in here for an interview. We'll interview as many as we can at the end of this race. Went very well. I was on the edge of my seat for pretty much everybody. A lot of people were going for strats I didn't think they would go for.
I'm just super happy I got that key skip in Summit in 1 try or 2 tries. I thought I've had runs where I've sat there trying to go up that little spike tunnel for minutes.
Yeah, you were quick on that, dude. Question, do you use 2 jump buttons by chance?
I do not.
Okay, because it makes, like, well, spoilers, 2 jump buttons makes that key skip way easier, in my opinion.
And here's Walsh, by the way, and congrats on the huge PB, dude.
Yo, thanks.
Yeah.
That was wasn't that 15 minutes? Like, jeez.
It's like 10, 11 minutes off the PB of record. I think my like actual PB I got off stream was like a 108 or something. But yeah, that's a big PB. Yeah.
That's still big, nonetheless. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, thank you. And you know,
especially in a tournament.
and now I have a prologue death. I have a flag 1 death. I have free time save.
I commented on that because like I think that's now maybe like the 3rd or 4th person who's had a prologue death, so shout to that.
Yeah, team prologue death.
It
Yeah.
happens to everybody, literally everybody.
Team prologue death, that is now a team, is the best thing.
Hey, your time is pretty much lead, also.
Yeah, so I don't know if Flader wants to join in the call too, but how do you guys think your runs went? I know I already talked to Silver as well as Dave about theirs, but how about you, Walsh?
Yeah, I think I've went pretty well. I mean, obviously there's still room for improvement. Like, I've only been running this game for like a week and a half, pretty much. So yeah, like, I'm pretty happy with 103, but I still want, you know, sub 1. I'm not quite sure what my end goal is going to be, like maybe sub 50 or something. But yeah, just gotta keep on working, you know. But I'm
just a week and a half. That's crazy.
Honestly, that's pretty crazy for a week and a half that you already got down to almost sub 1 at this point.
Yeah, basically I just watched Ben Teezy's tutorial, and like I've really been like hitting the practice like for the past few days. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I've progressed so far.
Is this your first speed game?
I mean, depends on how you count Link to the Past randomizer.
Oh,
Fair enough.
fair enough. That's insane.
Still,
Props.
I think as a first speed game, this is a very good choice. Like, first actual speed game, not including randomizer.
Right.
Yeah, this is my first speed game, personally.
Yeah, no, it's a very accessible, like, you know, obviously the game was designed for people to like speed run it, but like there's also like, you know, a lot of resources out there, like a really friendly community that's really fun to lurk in. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, shout out to Ben Teezy. Those videos are amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
They were super helpful.
Yeah, I can't say this is my first speed game, but it's probably my favorite out there. And again, congratulations to all the runners, all three of you, as well as Flader. You guys all had really good runs this time. 2 PBs, very well done, and made for a great race as well.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the great race. And if you guys in chat, if you guys enjoyed us as commentators, me and Achromatic Sky, you can follow us on our social media, our Twitch as well. And also, of course, follow these amazing runners. All of them did very well. And I really
Stops unplugging, and then the next race is actually going to be the next last race is going to be happening at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over at Speed Gaming 2. Let me just check who it involves. It's going to be against Swessy and Mayantix, so that should be a very good race as well. So if you were itching for more Celeste content, go check out Speed Gaming 2 at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for that. So thank you all for having an interview with me at the end, and thank you for the great race, of course.
Thanks for having me, and good night, guys.
Yeah, peace out, guys. See you next time.
Yeah,
Bye,
GG,
everybody.
y'all.
It's going to be against Swessy and Mayantix, so that should be a very good race as well. So if you were itching for more Celeste content, go check out Speed Gaming 2 at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for that. So thank you all for having an interview with me at the end, and thank you for the great race, of course.
Thanks for having me, and good night, guys.
Yeah, peace out, guys. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
All right.